or what is your biggest inspiration? When and why? I'll give you a who for the second part. The what, anytime anyone would, in their career or their life's work or their whatever they choose to do, people that come from nothing or come from simple means, or people that come from like not the best backgrounds, and they make something of themselves, whether it's in business or politics or like a career in teaching or not so. Some is money, but if you revert that to business, so I would say anyone who would be in business that does well, but not just makes a lot of money, but benefits our society and makes a lot of money. Things like that inspire me. When people do the right thing and they're rewarded for it, that inspires me. But one of my biggest inspirations is a man that was born and raised in Rochester. His name is Vince Diaguardi. And actually, Diaguardi means in Italian, I believe, God is watching you. Like it's, Dio is God, and guarde is see. It's almost more like seeing God. So anyway, he started in Rochester, Pennsylvania. He had 5 brothers and sisters. His parents came from Italy, and they had a little monument making shop. And they literally like used to chisel out the monuments by hand. And then somewhere, part of the process is they modernized. Vince worked with his dad. He was the oldest of all his siblings. And he kind of, like after the war, in the World War II and Korean War, he started modernizing the plant. And part of when they modernized, instead of just a hammer and chisel, they used to use big sandblasters. And when they sandblasted, that's how they would do the letters and the numbering and any of the designs that would be in the tombstones. So what happened was in the late 50s, there was a major steel strike. All the steel unions across the United States went on strike for an extended period of time. And there was a company that was in Rochester, Pennsylvania. It was called PB&I, and they produced tubing. And what happened was, because of the strike, all this tubing was out in the yards, and it got rained on, and it rusted. So when people went back to work, they asked Vince if he could sandblast the pipe to take the rust off, because if he wasn't able to do that, the customers couldn't use it. So there would be like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of pipe that would have to go to the scrapyard. So he sandblasted it, and they transported it down there, sandblasted it. Well, they found out that the customers that used this tubing, they pulled it through, it's called a process called drawing the steel on, and it was called draw benches through dies. And what it did, it took the coarse diameter and it would refine it. Well, they found that since the pipe was sandblasted, it was able to, they were able to produce better quality tubing with less scrap, less defects. So they actually hired them to sandblast all the pipe, because for some reason it increased the quality of the finished product. So he did that, and he did some other things. It's called surface preparation of steel. And through the years, he used different techniques. He started using these big grinders that were like huge mechanic machines. And he eventually started getting into, instead of regular steel, titanium. So for the last, maybe in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, he did so many different things. They did like pieces for the space program. He did things for the space shuttle. He did like airplane parts, titanium for wings. And through all this process, he became a mega millionaire. but he's still the same Vince DeAguardi that grew up in Rochester. He's and he's done everything being a good person. He's as honest as the day is long. He's generous. He's compassionate. He's just a good guy. He's a loyal guy. He treats his employees well. He treats his friends well. He treats everyone, his family well. He's very proud of his family and helps his family. He helps his friends. He's just a good guy. And Dave and I have always, for years and years and years, said that's how we want to be. We don't want to. There's a couple other people in our area that are probably either as wealthy as him or possibly more wealthy, who started in business, but they didn't do it the way Vince did. They used underhanded means. They weren't honest. They tricked people. They didn't pay people. And that's the other thing with Vince. He taught us that no matter what kind of business you're in, you always remember the people that pay you the fastest and people that pay you the slowest. And he's always been the fastest. And henceforth, Dave and I have always, we took his advice, and that's why we're where we're at today. We pay people faster. And the other thing is, when we first started business, we asked them, because there were certain people telling us that we should just borrow money, buy new tools, buy new vans, buy new equipment. And we asked Vince his opinion, and he said, no. He said, you might have to borrow a little money to get started, but then you pay it back as fast as you can, and then you don't buy anything till you have the cash for it. And that's another really, we owe so much of our success to Vince DeAguardi. And I can't emphasize how he did everything the right way, the good way. And he's not only become wealthy, his whole family's become wealthy. It's a much longer story than this, but he's just the best. And he's probably the most intelligent businessman that I ever met in my entire life. And I love him, he loves Dave and I, and we always said when we grow up, we want to be like Vince DeAguardi. So that's it.